Welcome to another episode of Pugging with Shintar. Today we are going to the Eternity Vault, and I'm very excited because I love the Eternity Vault and I meant to do it as my very first operation for this series actually, but it took a little while to come around as the featured operation of the day on a convenient day. So here we go. I will go through the group finder again, hoping that today the queue won't take 2.5 hours. But I am fully prepared to wait if necessary. You might be asking, why do I do this to myself? If I don't mind talking to people, why don't I respond to someone in general chat? There are people looking for groups right now. People at the third boss even, okay. Sorry, I'm distracting myself. Why am I doing it to myself? Because I want to show that the pugging through the group finder does work, even if there is an annoying wait. Also, Eternity Vault is very easy, and I am less worried about risking a pug through the group finder than I would be with some of the more difficult operations. Because you bet that I'll be looking for groups manually for places like explosive conflict, or even TFB, or anything that isn't Eternity Vault or Karagas Palace. So let's do some group findering while I'm not afraid of doing it. I've already picked up the one-time story quest for Eternity Vault, which you get right outside the operation from this chap here. I've already talked to him. But I will now get ready to wait by doing some more of my class story, I guess. Healer is not even the role in need at the moment, so I do think it's going to be a while. Wow, the role in need is DPS at the moment. Maybe I should learn to DPS on Paget. Oh, is it happening? No, is the answer to that. Dang, that would have been quick. We're only 40 minutes in. But someone declined. Again. And again someone declines. 1.5 hours, still looking for a tank. So it's been 2.5 hours and we are still waiting for a tank. Which is really surprising to me, because while I waited 2.5 hours last time, I thought Eternity Vault would be a bit quicker because it's really quite a popular destination for pugs. But apparently not. I can only really wait for maybe another 20 minutes or so. Then even if I get a pop, I might not have enough time to complete the op before it's time for my own guild's evening activities. So if nothing happens before then, I will pause this and get back to it later, maybe after guild activities. And I might just have to bite a bullet and look for a group in chat. It is kind of ironic that my attempts to prove that the group finder works for operations in this case seem to be backfiring on me, and instead prove that it really doesn't work, even when it comes to Eternity Vault. Yeah, this doesn't seem to be going anywhere. I will get back to it later. 3 hours. Really? Right, it is 9 o'clock, gone 10 on the continent, so kind of late. But hopefully not too late for some people to want to run Eternity Vault. Let's see what we have here. Oh, looking for one healer, story mode group finder. Perfect. Let's see if I'm in time or if they got someone already. They're not replying. So I'm guessing I was just too slow. I mean, the polite thing in that situation would be to say a group is full or something at least, but I can't blame them. Oh, here it's in general chat, full. Okay. Well, I'll have to wait a little longer then. I'll keep an eye on it. Oh, someone just doing the last boss. Well, I can't decide. It's not really what I was looking to do. No, I don't just want to do a last boss. It's not the point. It's not the point to just complete it. I want to do a full run. Can't quite figure out what a TR is. Something run. Oh, it's PvP channel, so it must be team ranked. But looking for one healer is gonna keep taunting me. Because it's obviously the sort of group I want, but I don't just want to do the last boss, I want to do the whole thing. Ah, here's another group.
Day. As soon as we entered orbit, the madness struck. The Dreadmasters projected images into our minds. Personal images. Shocking images.
And yeah, I started having a conversation while watching general chat, so I know. I probably want to do Oricon soon.
Smash their faces, sir.
So based on the initial advert, this person had a tank and 1 DPS. In the time I watched this cutscene, we got me and 1 other person. So I'm guessing this person is our tank, because they had a tank already. And the DPS. They're relogging now because of keyboard issues. Wait, why were they advertising looking for 2 healers after I joined? Did they not get that I'm a healer? Oh well, need to figure that out when they're back. Right, so still trying. Alright, here's... I am a healer. Okay. I've identified myself as a healer. See, this is a prime example of how manually forming a group is more work, because you have to go through all the who does what, etc. Like the guy was relogging, needs to re-invite, blah blah blah. But it's less boring than just sitting in the queue. And I mean, we do have 6 people already after less than 10 minutes, so... Right, the cat woman is my fellow healer, apparently. I like that I said in my initial list what role I was, but they just invited everyone without paying attention, seems. So, the current status is that we need 1 more tank and 1 DPS. I'm still intrigued by all these team-ranked LFG requests that say mats. I hear no mats. Are they talking about handing the rewards to someone, or is this just a way of saying I don't care if we win or lose, I just want the daily quest done? I'm not sure. Oh, what's this from Kao Yen? Could be a tank or DPS. This person was a DPS because we're now looking for 1 tank in chat. But actually I'm thinking, EV being what it is, we could, in theory, take a DPS with taunt. That's another thing I didn't mention earlier, but that's another sort of advantage of building a group manually, is that you have the option to change the group makeup a bit. Because on story mode, to be honest, I think almost all of them are doable with just 1 tank, strictly speaking, but EV is particularly easy because there isn't really anything to do for the second tank. So you can make a group with 1 tank and 5 DPS, which is usually easier to assemble. Oh, apparently Violet is not a tank. Okay, apparently Violet is not a tank. Just a DWT DPS with taunt. Which is pretty much what you tend to take instead of a second tank, in case there is any mechanic that requires the tank to be taunted off for a few seconds. The more I think about it, the more complicated this whole manually pugging thing is. I mean, I find it really good, but I could see how it could be a bit intimidating to a new player, or even just someone not familiar with what all the acronyms mean and so on. Oh, the Guardian is offering to respec. I mean, we have been waiting for 10 minutes or something. Oh, a long time. That's another thing. Another advantage of the manual group building. You might get someone willing to respec, which is a bit different from changing your role while you're in the queue, which you can't really. You'd have to cancel and then queue as a new role. but do you really want to bother? There is more of an incentive when you have a nearly full group and you just need that one roll that's not quite there yet, and it's like, ah, okay, I guess I will do it. Social pressure. Okay, so with this guy respecting to tank, we just need a DPS now. That should be easy. You also see it, looking for one DWT, DPS for taunt, 2 healers, 1 damage dealer. What's going on here? Is everyone just doing laps around the fleet? From the looks of it. Well, we're waiting to fill that last slot. What is this? No instant request to join from one lonely damage dealer? How hard can it be to just find that one DPS? Oh, here we have someone about to join. But they declined! Aha. Here one of the people in chat is saying they found someone and the person is just relogging. It's always interesting to see how these manually assembled groups turn into a group effort pretty quickly. I mean, there's, okay, well, someone starts with the invites, but then everyone who joins has a vested interest in making the group succeed, so everyone gets going, inviting people. I mean, if I wasn't intentionally trying to keep it a pure pug, I would, on a normal character, I would be in my guild, and I would also ask in my guild if anyone wants to come. And that tends to speed things up. I mean, I've now been recording for 20 minutes. I didn't instantly ask to join the group, so total assembly time was maybe 15 minutes. I mean, it's not really fast, but it's fast compared to the 3 hours I spent in the queue earlier with no result. Anyway, here we go! Eternity Vault! Yay! I love Eternity Vault. First off, it has like what I consider the best intro to a raid ever. You're on this ship and you fly to Belsavis because the one-time quest tells you that you need to go there. But then you get shot down.
Warning: incoming fire from Eternity Vault defenses. Rakata energy signature.
So you start the op in this ship about to crash, and everyone has to run for escape pods. And it's very frantic. You actually see the escape pod going down and crashing into the snow, and I mean, conveniently they all go exactly where you need them to go, but still, the first time I did this, I thought it was so cool. Seriously amazing.
I hear them enter my domain. Children unknowing, they will serve.
And here we hear the last boss taunting us already from a distance. Here we have to be careful not to run too close because you can accidentally start the encounter like this person just did. I guess. Now we're sort of committed, might as well. This happens every time, I swear. But I knew it was gonna happen and had my cooldown ready to not die. Nothing on the boss itself will require me to use a cooldown. It's just these turrets. In the past, after killing the turrets, there used to be some small little ads. I have no idea why they took those out.
An ally toward destruction.
I cannot imagine that they were considered too difficult. Now, first boss. This operation was always intended to be an introduction to this kind of content, so it's very easy. First boss is very basic, just knocks down one of the tanks every now and then, some circles on the floor, and an AoE phase where you want to group up for healing. Though, what's interesting, back in the day, it was slightly more complicated because basically hardly anyone had any AoE healing, so you couldn't just group up and heal through the damage. So instead what we used to do back in the day was go hide behind one of these pillars whenever he did his AoE. It's been a very, very long time though since I last did that, because basically once they buffed area heals, it just wasn't necessary anymore and it just slowed you down.
I have been armed with 24 distinct
Here's the
weapons
AoE
technologies.
damage phase where everyone runs it. I mean, these days it's so easy to heal through this, but back in the day we only had single target heals, except for sages. But even their area heal was weak compared to what we've got now. Oh, I could use my rage buff as well. I love Eternity Vault in general because, well, I love the atmosphere, I love how pretty it is. Even though everything is very easy, it's just, I just find it very charming.
Storm protocols.
When I started playing SWTOR, I actually had no plans to ever do operations. I mean, I had raided in World of Warcraft for something like 5 years, and then I stopped because I really didn't like what Blizzard was doing with the game and with raids. I played it for a few more months before I changed to SWTOR. And I initially had no plans to start raiding in SWTOR. I was just like, oh, I'll do these quests, it looks very cool, etc. But I got into guild, and they wanted to do operations, so I was like, oh, okay, I guess I can give it a try. And the very first time I did Eternity Vault, I was just like, wow, this is so awesome. And I haven't really looked back. That was over 6 years ago.
Proximity violation.
I think we should be okay for DPS. Whoops! I was me getting a bit too close.
24 distinct weapons technologies.
I was gonna say about DPS, I will never get tired of telling the story of how I had to give up on a story mode EV run because we kept hitting the Enrage and Gage, which is the second boss, because before that I didn't even know he had an Enrage. But you can generally tell on the first boss already, because he also does have an Enrage. And if you hit it here, then Gage is gonna be a problem. But he seems to be going down quickly enough, as he should be. I mean, this isn't very highly tuned. It is meant to be story mode, so you don't need to do great DPS to kill it. But even so, we have 5 DPS instead of the 4 it's designed for, so we really should not have any problems. Oops, there I go, flying again. The worst thing is I should have my back against a pillar, so I just bounce off it, but I'm clearly failing at that.
Systems failing.
And there he goes. Oh, that reminds me, I should pop my 6B buff. Don't know if there are any rules for the loot. I'm just gonna pass on everything, I guess, because I don't really need any of this. Or maybe... No, not even greed. I don't want this stuff. Let people who might actually use the gear use it. Now, here comes the question. Are we going to skip the trash? Other people are asking. Now, fun fact. For all the complaining I do about trash skipping, and that I don't like it very much, this is one occasion where I am happy to do it. Because, for one, it's actually kind of challenging. I think I have a channel a video somewhere on my channel, a video somewhere on my channel where I show how to do it. But basically,
master and creator, what the galaxy fears.
The person made it already. Basically, what you do here is if you have some sort of speed boost or jump, you use it to jump across here, and it's not that easy. You can easily fall down, bounce off the wall, and die. Basically, if this person has stealth, they can just sneak towards the second boss. If you don't have stealth, you need to make a sort of suicide run towards him. Because what happens is once you pull the second boss, the speeder appears and allows you to fly directly towards him instead of having to clear all this trash. Because what you would have to do is you go across here, down on the other side, then I think in a full circle around here before you can go inside to the boss. It's basically quite a lot. It's quite it has some annoying abilities like pulls and other aggro drops. I don't remember, but they pull you around a lot and they have a lot of health, so it's quite tedious to kill all of these mobs. It takes something like an extra 15 minutes to the run, which is a lot when the whole instance as a whole takes about 30 to 40. Yeah, people are really speedering away. I lost some time from running in to explain what's happening here. Yeah, so I don't mind this particular trash skip because it actually requires a bit of work and it's definitely worth it. What often bothers me about skipping trash and flashpoints and stuff is that it's almost more effort to move past those couple of weak mobs than it would be to kill them. But you don't really miss any great rewards here and it really saves you a lot of time. Here we go, killing some firestalkers, cute little dogs. I will always remember these as sacks of hit points because that's what our main tank in my first Torture guild used to call them. He said he said they were very boring trash. They don't do anything. They're just there for you to kill them, which is why he called them sacks of hit points. I'm gesturing at my screen while I'm explaining these things, as if you can see what I'm doing. Ah yes, I'm not a bioanalyst, I keep forgetting. Otherwise you can bioanalyze those doggies. Now up next we have Gage.
Gage, whose claws scored the canals of Salot. Gage, who consumed the natives of Balzac and was worshipped for it.
Now Gage is a sort of notoriously buggy boss. I mean, his mechanics are again fairly basic. He sometimes jumps into the air and smashes around the people around him, so melee will take some damage. In the past we asked him to move out, but these days you can mostly heal through it. And he does this jump, which causes this platform to sink into the lava, but you can run over to another one and continue the fight there. And this is the mechanic that's notoriously buggy. I've seen it bug out in so many different ways. The most common one is that he just never jumps and actually doesn't move, so you stay on the main platform, it doesn't fall into the water, and it's just a tank and spank, which is boring but sometimes convenient. Another one I've seen is that he jumps, but the platform we are on doesn't sink. Instead, a different one appears and sinks right away. That really had me confused the first time it happened, and it had the ops group confused because we had obviously all run to the next platform just to find it disappearing from under our feet. The new platform appearing can also be a bit awkward, sort of Schrödinger's platform I like to call it. I mean, here we could see the the little stalactites. Is that the right word? Falling down and forming steps. But I've had occasions where this doesn't seem to happen until I look at them. They only fall down once you look at them. Before that, they don't exist on my screen anyway. That can be a bit confusing. I think you can already tell that this group is also the whole run is much smoother than the Karagas Palace run I did through the group finder. I mean, everyone seems to know what to do. It's not even a question. It's because basically it's pretty safe to assume that if you join a group for this sort of thing through chat, you know what you're looking for, you know what you want to do, you know what it is about. And even if you don't know something, you're more likely to say so right at the beginning and be like, hey, actually, I've never tanked this one before, please let me know, for example. So ironically, for all the talking we had to do in advance to assemble the group, we are kind of saving time by not having to talk too much during the run. It's going pretty smoothly so far. Also, fun fact, when he does his knockback, you fall into the lava, and like all video game lava, it's basically like hot water and doesn't really damage you. But if you manage to get knocked into this waterfall, you do die instantly. And it took me like 5 years to find this out, because it had never happened to me until quite recently, and I was like, oh, I didn't know that killed you. Great example of how you can continue to learn new things even in old content. Is he gonna die on this platform? Might be bad. Yes, that's another thing that can happen, is when he dies on a platform that's about to sink, then his whole body disappears in the lava and can't be looted. I think that's the thing that I seem to remember happening. People had the sense to stop DPSing and pull him to the next platform before killing him, to save us any trouble. Right, up next comes the jungle. This is basically another thing I really like about this operation. It's so varied. I mean, outside the snow, then you're in this sort of technological vault, then lava, then jungle, then another vault. It's a lot of variety for a single operation with only 5 bosses. Am I going the wrong way? Yes, I am. I always get turned around here, and I'm not the only one. This other person was also going the wrong way. Alright, so this next jungle bit is also a bit of an exercise in trash skipping. I'm a bit less fond of that one because it's not as justified. It's just, you know, some packs of manca cats that you try to skip, and they are not that hard to kill, though they hurt reasonably. But they're not difficult to kill, so it wouldn't be that big a deal to just carve a straight path towards the next objective. But instead, everyone engages in some jumping shenanigans around these rocks here. can jump up here somewhere or on the side. You just have to watch that you don't fall down here and then pull behind you, which I've seen happen. I might have even done it at some point, knowing myself. Okay, everyone's up. Then we go along this edge here. Oh, what's this? I'm used to going a bit further than that. Anyway, I swear that at one point BioWare actually moved some of the cats around to make this harder, because we used to be able to skip them all. But yeah, here they are. Need to relog again? Okay. Here these cats are right in front of this little rock bridge, and I swear they didn't used to be. Pretty much can't avoid killing them now. But at least we did this in an organized fashion with the tank going in first, instead of someone managing to sneak past in stealth or something and then the next person pulling unintentionally. Right, up this bridge. Now, for this encounter, we need to split in two. Four people here at this pylon, and there's another one at the south end of this area. Oh, I hadn't thought about that. That sucks. Violet said she needs to relog. But obviously, you cannot actually, you can't actually re-invite someone who left the group finder group. You can only replace them via the group finder. So I'm guessing she will be replaced with someone else. Wow! No, she managed to make it back somehow. She must have been the only person queuing. That's funny to me, because that would never work in the Flashpoint queue. Seriously, it boggles my mind that Violet may have been the only DPS queuing for operations at this time of day. Anyway, she somehow made it back. Good for her. Right, so I guess I'll go south. This was BioWare's first puzzle boss, because basically what you have to do, you have these two pylons with a little puzzle on them. Basically, you want to line up all the symbols in a row. Ooh. Right, first we need to kill some mobs. Ouch, I have to watch out here because some of these have a reflective shield, which is strong enough that people can kill themselves on it. Anyway, so yes, you can see like this purple on left and right, so you want to align this, make this one also purple, make this one white, this one green, this one yellow. Now, what we used to do back in the day is we solved this puzzle, because obviously with experience you would know what order the symbols are in and whether you should turn it left or right to achieve the proper color quickly enough. But in story mode, people sometimes can't be bothered to solve the puzzle and basically just turn the wheel left all the time until it lines up, which usually works out anyway somehow. You'd have to be exceptionally unlucky, I suppose, to end up with a setup that takes forever. but most of the time it just causes you to need worst case 1 or 2 extra turns, and it's not a big deal. You can't do that on hard mode because there is a time limit, and if you just spin the wheels randomly, you will take too long and it will reset. Though I do have a puzzle solver somewhere. Oh no, people are asking for ready, so I guess we are gonna... Oh, we're gonna do... Oh, right, I suppose, since this person clicked on the right thing. That is a danger that can happen, is if one person spins right and another one spins left. Whoa, okay, I'll just not touch it. I swear she used the right console first and now the left one. Maybe it was just looking that way because of where she was standing. I just not touch it. I'll let her do it. Because this can happen, that if you have people clicking left and right alternately, then obviously you never spin it to the correct color, and even on story mode you can eventually run out of time. Yeah, I have a feeling someone spun the wrong way, because this is now a 4th spin. Here we go. Yeah, also once you've lined it up, you need to click this confirmation console to confirm. That was added because back in the day that wasn't there, but you could sometimes get a randomized puzzle where one of the colors was actually already in place, so they were already like 3 greens, for example. But the problem was it wouldn't register, so you would have to spin the wheel a full rotation to make it register that it was lined up, and that was just silly. So they made this confirmation thing instead, so if by chance you end up with a solved wheel from the beginning, you just have to press confirmation and it moves on to the next one. Oh, and as you can notice, throughout the fight, little ads spawn that you need to kill. Also, the wheels need to be in sync, so like we were finished with the 2nd step there, but we couldn't continue to the 3rd one because the other side was still in the 2nd one. Yeah, those mobs with the reflective shield are probably the deadliest thing in here. Because you get high damage classes just jumping in, attacking, and boom, they blow themselves up before you can even heal them. Yeah, we are a bit slow. Usually I'm used to the part on being solved around shortly after the first Ackley spawns. Oh, we already had 2 Ackleys. I don't know when you run out of time. I fear it's something like 3 Ackleys, 4 Ackleys. Okay, our side is solved. There's the 3rd Ackley. Oh no, this is where you get... Ah, you get double Ackleys. That used to be quite dangerous back in the day. These days not so much. But they still do a fair amount of damage. Okay, I'm still waiting for the other side to finish their puzzle. Okay, the next set of mobs had a chance to spawn, but we were teleported back to the treasure. So they are running towards us. That also didn't used to be the case back in the day. I might agree on that one. Back in the day you had to run here yourself. Back in the day you also didn't have one of those boxes which are like a mob that dies. you had an actual chest that you needed to loot, but it was a bit annoying because only one person could loot it at the time, so you had to sort of form a queue. Wow, that's a lot of Acklys. We were a bit slow there. Don't die! Okay. She died. Kind of funny to have that happen after the fight's over. Okay, where is she? Over there. Okay. The cat woman is already getting her. Yeah, they replaced the chest with this so everyone could loot at the same time, which I think everyone was grateful for, because those old style chests were just a bit annoying. Now the next fight, again, really simple, but back in the day I thought this was absolutely brilliant, because SWTOR does not have any built-in damage meters, and there are no add-ons. There is a sort of third-party program which you can use to measure your own damage, and if you are in a group that all have the damage meter, you can share the data with each other, but otherwise you have no way of seeing how much damage someone else is doing. So this fight is basically not exactly a damage meter, but a sort of in-game DPS test, because every person gets given one mob to kill, and they have to kill it by themselves. They have to kill it by themselves, and if anyone takes too long, the fight resets. So the individual's DPS gets tested. Obviously the mobs for the healers and the tanks have somewhat less fewer hit points, so as the healer I tend to take an assassin, while the DPS takes Marauder, I think? Yes, and Lord is for the tank. The biggest problem here has always been that people might interfere with another person by accident, for example by hitting some sort of group buff or trying to heal them or something. And this causes trouble because if you help someone else, your damage gets reduced to 0. So if you do it by accident, then you can't actually even kill your own mob anymore, and then you have to pretty much reset. Am I doing damage? Yes. No, I'm not doing damage. Yep, the problem is I'm not doing no damage or healing because I had a trauma probe on someone else, I think, so that counted as me healing them, so my output was reduced to 0. Well, that's sort of embarrassing, but at the same time, it's not much I could do. I mean, a trauma probe is a normal ability for me to use during a fight, so people need to remember to click this sort of buff off themselves. Since they didn't. I think we're actually wiping. Yep. I like how my mob is running around and killing everyone and they can't hurt it. Embarrassing. Oh, now he's even enraged. It's not just a reset, he enrages. Wow. I thought they just reset if you run out of time. Oh, there we go. The time to face your destiny has expired. Are they asking everyone know this fight? Yeah, I know the fight. Doesn't help me if someone still had one of my buffs on. I can't tell if Violet just needed another relog or if she left in embarrassment about the wipe. I will have to check the video myself later to make sure I didn't accidentally cast it early in the fight. So I'm not sure that much. The break between the two bosses wasn't that short, so anything I cast earlier should have had time to expire. Oh, actually, this Sage says they did it because they used the raid buff. To be fair, they were the person next to me, so possible. Well, it doesn't matter. We know what the problem was. It would be funny if Violet had rage quit. I mean, she's the one who put the group together. Oh, they say Violet is trying to come back in, so I guess it wasn't the rage quit. That's reassuring to hear. There she is again. Nobody is queuing for orbs. I can't believe it. This shouldn't work, but somehow it does. I mean, I'm not complaining. It's nice that she can come back in like that, but it's not working as intended when nobody is queuing for operations. Just waiting for Violet to come back in. I mean, she's in the instance, but a bit behind. Well, that was a bit of a setback, but we seem to know what went wrong, so hopefully everything will go fine this time. That's more like it. I'm actually doing damage! Yay! There we go, my dude is dead. Now I could in theory put one hit on someone else's before I get debuffed. It looks like everyone is killing their stuff quickly enough. Just waiting for this one. Putting one hit on him. Now I have this penalty of destiny debuff. There we go. Now onwards to Soa. Soa, the big guy that has been taunting us from the entrance. Erakata warlord. Also notoriously buggy, and yet very epic. Epic music as you enter his room. Also, there is a little gap here, which I have in the past fallen down through, and then nearly died from giggling inanely for the rest of the operation. So this fight, please mark the floor where it doesn't fall. The big thing about this fight is that it takes place in 3 dimensions. You hit him a bit until he goes to like, I think 70%, and then he starts smashing the floor, and you have to sort of jump around the platforms that remain in the air for a little while to make it to the next floor. So I think this is the only fight I can think of where a significant amount of damage that you have to heal is actually just fall damage. Because that's what you take damage from as you jump around the platforms. Plus, you also need to know which platforms to jump to, because to be perfectly honest, you can't just guess, because they fall down somewhat randomly. So you need to know which order of platforms is sort of in a safe pattern that's close enough together for you to jump.
For I ruled 1,000 worlds, and Korriban was my crown, Korriban my cradle, and my testing ground. I have waited 20,000 years.
So this is when he will destroy the first floor, so everyone needs to come to the outer edge, which does not instantly fall down. Oh, and okay, they didn't make it to the outer edge, but they fell where the platform was. So yeah, then the next step is to jump down these platforms, heal up, jump down some more platforms. Oh, and while you're jumping down here, you need to destroy these ancient power sources, because they give him a buff, and this buff causes him to do AoE damage after landing on the next floor. On story mode, you can survive even if he keeps the buff, but on hard, it hurts a lot. That's one of the things that bugs sometimes, because even though you destroy all the power sources, he somehow keeps his buff and does all the AoE, even though he shouldn't. Another bug that has happened here was also with the platforms. They too were Schrodinger's platforms for a while, like the stalactites on Gage, which means you had to look up so they would fall down. If you didn't look at them, they wouldn't fall down. It's rather bizarre, to be honest. I have no idea what sort of coding can create something like that. Anyway, we successfully made it to the second floor. So here we do the whole shebang again. Sometimes people will get pulled into Rakatan mine traps that you need to free them from. But this has also been nerfed a bit, because in the there we have one. Because in the past, you had to make sure to destroy these before he would smash the floor again, or the person would be lost. But these days, if he smashes the floor, if he gets ready to smash the floor while a person is in a mine trap, they get freed automatically. Oh, and yeah, people also get thrown around in the air, which again is very epic. Woo! Smashing into the pillars. Pretty cool effect. To be honest, the most dangerous thing about that is that you might feel a bit disoriented after landing again. I need to find where the rest of the group is standing. 50, no, it's like 30% or something when he smashes this floor. Obviously the deadliest mechanic is people falling down and dying. This too is buggy in some ways because, well, the dying itself isn't buggy, but in theory you should then be able to res the person once you get to the floor. But something is buggy about it, so sometimes people will fall down and they will be dead on the floor, but you can't target them for a res. Which is annoying because if someone is dead on the floor and the boss is dead, you want to revive them so they can loot. Doesn't always work. Oh yes, so many bugs. But still, it's such an epic fight. I love this whole thing with the platforms. Which is funny because it's not... I'm not generally in favor of 3D movement. Like, I wasn't a huge fan of that big underwater zone in WoW. Bashir is the name. You have to like swim up and down. I mean, it wasn't terrible, but I didn't particularly enjoy having to watch not just around me but above and below me. It just meh. But I like this fight because it doesn't change the laws of physics, so to speak. You don't have to worry about flying. It just happens to be in 3 dimensions, so that you need to jump down. I'm not sure if that's making a lot of sense. Right, we are on the floor, and which has the final challenge of this fight, which is for the tank. Because basically what happens, Sora arrives breathed into this bubble that makes him invulnerable. Uh-oh, he also has power orbs, doesn't he? Yep, he has three power orbs this time, so he will do his AoE when he lands. I was saying, yes, he's in this invincibility bubble, and the only way to break it is he pulls some pylons into the air and smashes them into the ground. You can see it here. And the way to break the bubble is to pull him under where he smashes the pylons, so that he basically smashes himself. Haha! And then that breaks his shield for a few seconds. Now you think, how is this challenging? There's a giant blue circle on the floor where he's supposed to go, and that is correct. But that didn't used to be there, and in fact in hard mode it still isn't. But it also didn't used to be there in story mode. And it was really hard to position him correctly, just, you know, look up, see where the pylon is flying, drag him around. It was quite challenging. And many tanks couldn't get it quite right. Yeah, there's also more mine traps still. Yeah, you have to do as much damage as possible because he recovers within 12 seconds and then becomes immune again. So what used to be the challenge in the past was mostly that you would miss the pylon smash, so he would just stay near his bubble and you couldn't do any damage. And if you did that too many times, he would enrage. But with the giant circle, it's honestly not too bad. I mean, you can see the circle shows you much sooner where the pylon will land, but if you just watch it fly, it's not that obvious until just before it comes down where exactly it will go. We're gonna get him this round? Should be. Yep, there we go. Go us! Oh, Desla Avenger. I rolled on that last time, didn't I, in KP, but I don't think I got it. And the Tertiary Elite as well. Everyone needs to have a Desla Avenger in the Tertiary Elite, even though the Tertiary is really ugly. But it's a thing. Awesome! Thanks, all. Well, including the time to assemble the group, that took less than 1.5 hours. And including a wipe and like one person relogging multiple times and so on, I feel like I wasted a lot of time earlier, spending 3 hours in the queue. I mean, it wasn't a complete waste of time because I did do some quests, but still, I could have done something else in that time. Oh well, this I guess is a sort of self-reinforcing cycle of people not using the group finder because it doesn't give them a group quickly enough, and because nobody uses the group finder it can't give you groups. Alas. But there are still plenty of people interested, you just have to look in chat. I mean, in the time I checked general chat there were like 3 groups within 10 minutes or something. So no shortage there. Right, I will just hand in the one-time quest now. Right, I hope everyone enjoyed this little trip to the Eternity Vault. I certainly did, because I still love that operation. And I'll see you next time.